Well, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of the Bobby Brown Show on the go. I'm trying to get back into my streaming, so just hang in there with me. Trying to make sure everything runs smooth, mic, background, lights, camera. Using the new software program, that old stuff. Yeah, I got tired of it. It will always put me in a position where I can't get on, or something is always going wrong. The sound is out. The videos don't work. You can't see the videos. So I got tired of this stuff. But give me a moment. I want to make sure that I'm on the tutu too. Just give me a second. And let me come out of here and go to library and go my videos and see if I am up here. See if I'm looking good. All right. I'm looking all right. Big old bald head, man. God dog. Big old bald head. So let's make this quick because this is really a test run, but I do want to talk about a subject while I'm up here. Recently, about a few years ago, former Secretary of State Colin Powell, Secretary of Interior, Secretary of State, not Colin Powell, but Condoleezza Rice, was asked a question about the term African American. Now, we all know the term African American didn't really come into its full strong point until the Jesse Jackson administration began to allow, before the powers that be advised Jesse Jackson to give us the term African Americans. Now, the problem with the term African Americans, and I know a lot of you are not going to agree, but it is a fact that a lot of Black Americans are not all from Africa. A lot of us are. If you know the study and the history of the Atlantic slave trade, you realize most of the Black people that came from Africa went mostly down to South America. That's why South America has always had Black people there. North America always had Black people there. Central America always had black people there, because Africa was almost central, direct to South America. Even in history, how do you say it? Archaeologically, Africa and South America was joined at the hip until the flood came. And you already know about that flood. It's already talked about in biblical documents that the flood kind of changed a lot of the landscape of the earth. You know, America was known as Turtle Island. It was shaped a different way until after the flood. South America and the Ivory Coast, that came as a result of the effects of a huge major flood that happened millions of years ago. So it's not far-fetched to have Black people all over this globe as foundational people. If you do your study, you'll find out there are foundational Blacks in Asia, foundational Blacks in Europe, foundational Blacks in Africa, foundational Black in the United States. We have been everywhere. So during this question, Condoleezza answered the question talking about why she prefer. Matter of fact, I'll just let her say it herself.
Another horrible form of humiliation, and you've mentioned regarding democracy, two interesting themes, being descendant and also control.
By the way, fair use. You too.
Your great-great-grandmother, Zena, she gave birth to 5 children with slave owners. Do you find it a paradox of...
Now, let me stop there for a second. This is why a lot of immigrants, Black immigrants, let me bring myself back up here. This is why a lot of Black immigrants get upset, because native Blacks, there's 2 types of Blacks. You got foundational Black Americans and you have native Black Americans. We all can be considered foundation, because foundational Black include those who came from the Atlantic slave trade, foundational Blacks. Then you have native Blacks that were already here. before the slave trade. Remember, I told you, blacks, Africans were doing commerce back and forth, had their own boats. You got to understand there's so many civilizations in Africa that was very advanced in shipping and going back and forth from America. And then other nations saw that was happening, so they decided to try to establish or reestablish or colonize this country so they can make the money off the shipping going back and forth. This is all throughout history. I'm not going to go into that. But there was various reasons why there were slave trading. There was various reasons why before slave trading happened, blacks were already doing business here in the States because there were other blacks in the States. So, but in this particular segment, and y'all got to understand, it's been a while since I did this, so I'm not in my juices. I'm not in my flow. I'm not in my boldness right now. I've been away for a while, and it's going to take me a while to really get back into this. But I'm going to get back into it. You better make sure. Too much stuff going on. We got a war about to pop off. And let me tell you something, folks. If we go to war, it ain't going to be no sending no troops, none of that stuff. We got these idiots that's about to die, old, decrepit, and can die anyway, and willing to take you with them. So no, there ain't gonna be none of that. We talking about nuclear, thermal, burning up, fire, which was predicted in scriptures too. Fire going down because we got these nut wings politicians that care more about making money for the defense industry, more money about control or trying to maintain control than peace. But we're going to talk about it. It's just so much going on in the world, and I got to get back on my game and get back in this. And I got to talk about some relational things too and some mental things too, because all this stuff will mess you up. So we're going to be talking about this show is going to be anything I want to talk about show. It's not going to always be about politics. I'm going to be talking about whatever I want to talk about. So buckle in if you don't like it. Oh, well. But right now we're talking about this situation. There's a difference between being a slave with owners here in the United States and slaves with owners in different parishes of Jamaica, different areas of the Grenadians, different area of Trinidad, Tobago, all those areas. Now we all have some kind of link to those two things I talked about. Native blacks already being in this country. Not all blacks that end up in the islands or the Caribbean came from Africa. Again, I told you a lot of them was here doing business back and forth within the United States. We call them Aborigines. We call them Native Indians, Native Americans. None of them was white. Rarely was red. Rarely was brown. Most of them was black. You know, not saying there was no brown, no red, or nothing like that. You know, and when I say red, that means copper color, Native American. This is why foundational people are detaching themselves away from that, because each one of us in our own prospective region have our lineage, and we have to respect the lineage and the heritage from those particular regions. That's why we're not going around saying we're Jamaicans. We're not going around saying we're Haitians. Most of us who were born here in the United States under with lineage to slavery. But we respect those people who were involved in the trade in Haiti, in the Dominican Republic, in Puerto Rico, in most of the Caribbeans, and even those in South America right now. Brazil has the highest population of black people in the Americas. So we show our proper respect, but we're not going to sit here and act like we don't have our own separate lineage. We come together when we need to come together, but we have to respect each other's lineage. And when you start to mock and ridicule that, then that's where the division come in. That's when the hate come in. And we got too much stuff. There's no need to hate on foundational Black Americans or Native Black Americans for going to the federal government, not you. That's a racist trope. Nobody's trying to take money out of your pocket, going to the federal government who's already taken tax dollars and spent them with everybody else but Native and foundational Black American. But let me get back into this. And I think that was another problem. One of my problems I had when I was doing this show is I get off on these tangents and time go by and don't stick with the main point. But let's keep going with Condoleezza.
Many African Americans, such as yourself, that have slave owner blood, without your control or anything, that you have slave owner blood.
It's just a fact of that derives from our birth defect of slavery. America was born with birth defect.
Now, why do a lot of Black people have slave owner blood? It was a slave owner. And when you're under a slave owner, you're their property. They consider you just like the horrible things as a slave that you had to subject yourself to. Your kid considering you like a Raggedy Ann play doll. You ever seen the movie Megan or Chucky or something like that? You were a doll to them if you were a kid. Oftentimes, you'll be lucky if you get to go play with the master's daughter and she treating you around like you just another doll, or she treating you around like you're a dog, putting a leash on you and walking you around. Subjugated to that stuff. And then you had the master who probably couldn't get it with his wife. He was go out there and rape the woman, or go out there and rape the man or the little boys. Oftentimes in front of your wife, in front of you. And what are you going to do about it? And this is why we're asking for reparations. They ain't got nothing to do with Jim Crow and all that stuff. That's another claim for reparations later, but we're not lumping it all. There are phases to this. And folks, I'm not going to always be talking about reparation all the time. I got a lot of stuff in the world I need to talk about. I need to talk about this Dilbert guy. And then you got this stuff with, I don't know what's going on with Gabrielle Union and her husband and this NAACP award and all this stuff and their son. I got to talk about that. I got so much stuff I need to hit on the nail, but I'm not going to do it here. The things that we had to go through when you refuse to bow down to master and they literally buck break you, humiliate you, and subjugate you in front of your family. And then oftentimes the slave master will sell your family off or sell you off for the highest dollars. Can you imagine that? Somebody tying you up and having your family look at you while they dehumanize you and humiliate you and do strange, weird things to you in front of them, just to make the other slaves fear the wrath of master. Now, I'm not going to go around and saying that happened to all of them. I don't know, but it did happen. It's on record. So our lineage and our heritage is totally different from y'all. If you went through that from your country and everything, talk about it and make your claim from your country for that, or for the people who colonized your country. It wasn't America. Most Americans was not going into the Caribbeans, colonizing the Caribbean. It usually was Europe or Spain. These European countries like Spain and Great Britain and United Kingdom and Portuguese and Portugal and all these other countries. I can go on and on and on, of the different countries, Belgium and all that came down and colonized those countries primarily for money purpose, for trade, using free labor to get rich. And these countries still are in existence. Now, if there wasn't existence, there is no claim. But these countries are still in existence. And the way this country is and our leaders are right now, they'll topple this country to the point where this country don't exist, just to stop giving Black people what's due theirs. Well, let me keep going.
And the reason that I like that term is it marks you forever, but you can overcome it. And that's how I see our journey. My great-great-grandmother, Zena, it was 5 different kids, 5 different slave owners. I can't imagine how she managed to keep them together and keep the family.
5 different kids, 5 different slave owners. Can you imagine going through that kind of torment? You think your child being moved from foster care to foster care, you ever seen that, how it affects the child? Especially when they've been split, mom and dad probably get in a car accident, nobody's keep the kids, grandma is not at an age where, and then now you and your siblings got to be split off, or you have one person take you all in and then that didn't work out, so another one take you in, and that is traumatic. Imagine her mother had to go through 5 different slave owners. Now, maybe one of them was not that bad. Yeah, right. But just think about that.
History alive. But it just reminds us that we actually, blacks and whites, are one people. I'm not actually as fond of the term African American because it mimics an immigration story.
Now, when she said blacks and white are one person, people, that mean human. We're all human. We all are human beings on this planet. The thing is, human beings have different level of thought process. Some are mild, some are extreme, some are just straight up wicked and ungodly. By the way, I got to go to that speech. We're going to talk about this speech that Vladimir Putin did, shouting out America and how ungodly we've become. And we got the nerves to point the finger and telling them that, you're going to bend the knee to the United States by hook or crook. Get out of here. But we're going to talk about that too. But anyway, she's saying, look, the term African Americans put us in a position where we're lumped up in all the same category. I mean, you can say that, but you can't make that your final lineage. A lot of us are Americans from Africa. You got a real African American that come here not by lineage, but just by the fact that they're from the region of Africa. You got people like Charlene Theron. You got people like Elon Musk. You got a lot of white people that can claim African American status, but don't have no tie to slavery. And if they did, it's either property owner, slave master, or something like that, or, but wasn't tied to slavery. African Americans is not a foundational Black American term. It's not a native Black American term. Remember my definition of foundational Black American? They're two, but they're the same. You have Black people that were already here in this country pre-Columbus, pre-Atlantic slave trade, and then you got those who came through the Atlantic slave trade. The bottom line, they're foundational. The people from the Atlantic slave trade didn't decide to come to America for the American dream and the hopes of opportunity. Nah, they didn't come for that. And then you have those that were already here trying to build this country the best way they can through trade and commerce. And some of them were very successful until the colonizers came and had a different plan and had a shut up or you'll die. We're going to take everything you have. We're going to act like we're your friends and you're going to do it our way or we're going to get you out the way. So she's almost done and I'm almost done.
And we weren't immigrants. We were slaves who were brought here. And by the way,
now I want you to hear this because this term, we're all immigrants to this country, that's a flat out lie. I told you before, and I'll tell you again. There were Black people at the United. Malcolm X even said it. Dr. King even said it. We were here. We were already here. Plymouth Rock didn't land on us. I mean, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. We were already here. Foundational to the United States. It's just because of colonialism, a lot of Black natives and a lot of from this country and a lot of Black natives from the Atlantic slave trade were subjugated to free labor. And even those who thought they were going to be here for a little bit and do indentured servitude or just going to here to work off pre-sentence from Africa or pre-sentence from Great Britain who came here to America to work that off, find out you ain't working none off, Jack. You ain't working none of it all. And even if you did get your free papers, they still can just take your free papers and tear them up and make you a slave. And you got to go through 10 years of slavery before you finally get an opportunity to get back to who you were. These things still affect us today. And that's why we still talk about it today. And we're going to continue to talk about it until we get some real restitution into this country, face repercussions for the things that they did. America got filthy, stinking rich off the backs of black slaves, foundational and native. Rich. And they have a claim. And for my fellow immigrant brother, you can't get mad because we're detaching ourselves as far as who we are and where we came from. It doesn't mean we're not you, force color wise. We you all day. We one big color family. Just like our white Caucasian brothers and sisters, they link up, man. What do you think they was doing here at the beginning? They was giving all this free land and everything to the to the Polish and the Irish and all that. They had beef with them at first, but because they needed to dominate this country, they allowed them to come in and get all kind of free access. Allowed them to pay $5 to become Native American Indians to get free land in the Midwest. But that wasn't happening to you. I don't care if you came from Haiti. I don't care if you came from Trinidad and Tobago or St. Vincent. I don't care where you came from. You didn't come here to go out there and get free land for $5 in the Midwest. But a lot of white people came here claiming to be Indians to get that pay $5 so they can get free land. Shout out to Elizabeth Warren.
One of the foundational, therefore, populations of the founding here. And by the way, one of the foundational, therefore, populations of the founding.
You hear that? Foundational. Foundational.
Populations of the founding of America. By the way, one of the foundational slaves who were brought here, and by the way, one of the foundational, therefore, populations of the founding of America, 1613. So black and white says it kind of to me. We came here as Africans and Europeans and built
You see that? Africans, Europeans, and there was already natives there.
This country together. Populations of the founding of America, 1613. There were slaves who were brought here, and by the way, one of the foundational, therefore, populations of the founding of America, 1613. So black and white says it kind of to me. We came here as Africans and Europeans and built this country together, some of us in chains. And so it's a big part of our history. We still have.
Now, I'm not going to push back on this so much because it did take the togetherness to kind of, but the point I will push back on the fact is we built this through our strength, ingenuity, and then make a dime. They got filthy stinking rich off this, Condoleezza. Now, like I said, I agree with Condoleezza on the fact that we're not immigrants. Europeans, Africans, and native blacks already to this country, which she failed to mention, and she knows there's native blacks in this country. We all had a part in building this country. One probably did it conning and scheming and conniving and stealing blueprints and stealing ideas and making it their own and doing whatever they can to cover up for it. You get out there and pick all that cotton. All I got to do is pay you some pig slop and whatever's left from the pig so you can continue to survive, or make you go out there and fend for yourself, go out there and get your own fish and whatever. I'm not paying you. So we may collectively begin to build the infrastructure in the United States, but make no mistake. The main driver of building this country into what it is today is Black ingenuity. It was Blacks that taught white settlers how to restructure certain aspect of land. A lot of them was native Blacks that began to grow crops from cotton to tobacco or anything. It was Blacks, native Black Indians, native Blacks, Americans, and foundational Blacks that came from different parts of Africa that had to teach the slave master how to repurpose their product so they can profit, and they got nothing over it. Down there in South Carolina and everything, we had to teach them how to, grow rice, how to grow potatoes, how to grow corn. Because the mindset of how they did it in England would not do it in this country. And because African is so structured in so many different ways for us land and water, and we're so easy to adapt, we had to teach them. We had to teach them how to maintain themselves, how to keep themselves, how to fight sickness and disease, oftentimes helping them defeat sickness and disease, because the physicians they had was not getting the job done. They didn't even want to use natural medicine most of the time. They want to come up with some medicine that they got shipped from England, and then want to use the natural methods that natives use to survive. I'm almost done.
Have trouble seeing each other. I think we're never going to be colorblind, at least not in my generation. But we still.
And I'm glad she admit that. We're never going to be colorblind in no generation. I don't care if you all Christians and y'all serve the same God, you're still going to have these issues with color. And the proof is, you go into a white church and you see still a white Jesus, and geologically, Jesus was a dark-skinned man with wool hair. The Bible even talks about that. But they claim they've gone past this era of segregation and we're all one, but you still got that picture up in there. And picture images mean everything. You're still allowing and funding different administrations and government to continue to push lies about the truth concerning Black people and white people.
See something in each other. We make assumptions about each other based on color, less than we once did, but it's still something that's hard to overcome.
So there you have it. I was going to be quick on this one. Again, Condoleezza Rice, of all people, like Biden, George Bush George Bush was like one of the strongest to put Black people in his administration. So that just proves he's not racist. They ain't got nothing to do with that. The smartest white supremacists like to hide behind Black people. He think that will prove to him that he's not white supremacist, as the creator of Dilbert says, I wanted to join the winning team, but I'm fed up with it now. We're gonna talk about that in another segment. But I tell you, yeah. I remember I had this friend named Fitch, man, my white buddy, man. Me and Fitch did everything together, man. And me and Fitch got in a fight over a girl. I think I told you guys this story before. And I had him in a headlock, man. Boy, he couldn't get out. And boy, under pressure, all his racism came out, called me all kind of N-words, Black MFer. And, like, yo, bro, over a girl? Really? Thought you was my boy. Put the pressure on people, man. You offend people, it comes out. Your greatest test of whether you're a white supremacist or not is somebody Black challenging you to see. Poke you and you bleed nothing but bigotry. And the reason that you have not, a lot of people don't see it yet because you haven't been poked right, but let somebody poke you the right way and you will see it. Condoleezza Rice says that, look, I don't like the term Black Americans, African Americans, because we all have a lineage. I like the term foundational because I'm foundational to this land. I didn't come here as an immigrant. My great-great-grandmother went through 5 slave owners. And I guarantee you, she didn't get wealthy off those 5 slave owners. And what did we do? We pulled ourselves by the bootstraps like we do better than anybody, and we rebuilt, started our own, all to have somebody come snatch that away from us. And the many red hook town, the red summers where bigotry and racism and white supremacy just slaughtered black growth. Getting jealous. No need to get jealous. Don't hate. Participate. Anyway, I'm done. This is Bobby Brown with the Bobby Brown Show on the GO. I'm not an immigrant. I'm foundational to this country. And I'm proud of it. And you may be an immigrant from Jamaica or from Trinidad or from St. Vincent, or you're from St. Lucia, or if you're from St. Croix, or if you're from the Virgin Islands, you may be from, Nigeria, you may be from Senegal, you may be from Uganda, you may be from, Ghana. You should be proud of your land or where you come from. And you should be proud about how you develop that land to make it great. And if you have not developed it and made it great, and you decide to leave this country, make sure leave that country and come to the United States. Don't fall for this American bull crap around here. These people turn you into anything but who you were before you came here. You go back down there being all Americanized and talking all this American foolishness that we talk about. Anything goes. If you want to be with your dog next week, you can be with your dog. Stop hating on dogs, dog lovers. Man want to be with his dog and lay up with. Don't let them treat you like that. No, you go back to your country and build your country. I recently seen some of the housing developments in Ghana and Nigeria, especially Nigeria, and places like Abuja, right off the Lake Expressway, over there. Beautiful homes, beautiful land developments, beautiful greeneries. They fixed it. They turned Banana Island. Banana Island is going to be the Black Dubai. Did you know Nigeria has some of the biggest oil reserves? And right now, Africa is waking up and saying, we got the wealth. We got the most wealth in the world. And we only getting pennies on the dollars for doing business with these guys. We're going to stop doing business with these guys. And we're going to start developing our country. And that's what caused Gaddafi to get killed. Because he recognized that, hey, we got the wealth here and we need to come together as the United States of Africa and make everybody bend the knee to us, because they've been taking our stuff and making us bend the knee. Now, we ain't doing that no more. So be proud of where you come from. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of your region and make sure you are building it up. Don't come to America because you're disgraced because of the poverty and the unfairness and what the government is doing there. You got to do what we do here. Challenge it. Face it. Push back. And if need be, take over and make your country what it's supposed to be. A haven, oasis for you to live, thrive, and survive the best way you can. And beauty, grace, and honor. All right, I'm out of here. I'm Bobby Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I'll holler at you later. To the next one. The next one, we're going to talk about this Gilbert dude. This guy just lost it. And then the next one, we're going to talk about this whacked out Marion Williamson race. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I'll be back on soon. Peace. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you want to contribute to the stream, the PayPal information is right there. Holler at you later.